and I regret my damn vote, okay? He promised America first, now he's sending billions to Israel while we're drowning back home. And
Sir, why are you so upset today?
I voted for him to protect America, and now he's throwing our money at other countries and dragging us into another war.
Sir?
I didn't vote for him to babysit the whole damn world. I voted for America first.
Well, I don't like Trump anymore. Can we be friends again? Not a popsicle's chance in hell there, you slack-jawed fucking sycophant. Because despite whatever harebrained and most likely selfish reason you have for disavowing your orange daddy, it does not cleanse your soul nor my view of you for the shit that you let slide. Because here's a list of things that weren't deal breakers for you over the last 8 fucking years. Sexual abuse, bigotry, an attempt to overthrow the Constitution, countless human rights violations, and just about every form of ism on the face of the fucking planet. And none of it mattered to you. And unfortunately, all of it matters when you're applying for friendship or respect from me. And unlike a late payment on a credit report, that shit doesn't fall off after 7 fucking years. And that's not to say that there aren't people who can experience a genuine transformation. Some of these people are just so fucking stupid that it's taken until now to see the consequences of what they've done. But unfortunately, those consequences don't go away. The people whose lives are ruined, the people who just aren't here anymore, their lives don't just restart when you change your fucking vote. So I'm happy to see you wake up, but it's gonna be from arm's fucking length.
I've actually upgraded from losing my family on Christmas to now losing some of my friends because they have gone so far off the deep left end that now they're convinced that anyone who voted for Trump is like a fascist, everything else they call us, and they don't even want me around, like, in the friend group. I just want to preface this by saying we don't talk politics in my friend groups. We don't do anything like that. We barely discuss, like, our opposing ideals at all, yet they cut me off literally just because of a vote. Something I did that took 5 minutes to do. Something, apparently that's now ruined my whole life. I've lost my family and I've lost my friends. They've split up people and divide us.
Trump supporters, you can bellyache all you want about people on the left going no contact with you and cutting off business opportunities with you when they find out that you are MAGA. But the fact is, for the rest of your life, you are always going to struggle with people respecting you. And that's a bed you're going to have to lay in because you made it 3 times in a row. See, the truth of the matter is you all continue to seek relationships and business opportunities with us because our ideologies do not bother you to the point of you losing out on money and losing out on the security of having family and friends. But to us, it's not the same. And that should say something to you. That should be a clue that what you believe in changes hearts and minds about you, but you are never going to make the connection, and therefore you are always going to be stuck in the same fucking place in life. Now, the more time that you spend being upset that people on the left refuse to come to your shop, come to your restaurant, hire you out and contract you for work, the more time you're going to spend wasting your life away, because that's never going to change. The more time you spend guilting and shaming your children for going no contact with you because you voted for Donald Trump 3 times and trying to make them feel like the bad guy for doing that is more time you're going to spend estranged from your children and your grandchildren. And that's a choice that you are deciding to make. The only way that you can ever get rid of that headache in your life of people judging you and cutting you off for your decisions is if you atone for those mistakes and you do it publicly. I'm talking about on a town square, on social media. You enumerate all the things that you have done wrong, all the ways that you have voted incorrectly, all the ways that you have ostracized other people in marginalized communities by your internalized belief system. Maybe just then, those people will start coming to your shop again, coming to your restaurant, hiring you to mow their lawn. Maybe they'll come to Thanksgiving dinner again, but it's not a guarantee because why? You're not entitled to anyone anymore because you made decisions that hurt people. But again, a personality type like yours most likely will never, ever, ever admit your wrongdoing or your part in the mess that we're currently in right now.
This lady left MAGA. Now she's regretting why she voted for Trump. She's crying. Let us listen.
And I don't think people really realize how counterintuitive the hate that I receive when you can take one look at my page and see that I am doing the work.
You must be joking. You said you voted for him 3 times. 3 times you voted for this man. For 10 years, you saw what we saw and you heard what we heard. You called us crybabies and snowflakes and mocked us because we begged you not to put this man in power. And now we're supposed to hug you, throw our arms around you, and throw you a fucking parade? Fuck out of here, seriously.
MAGA supporter who are leaving MAGA base are crying because they are being rejected. They are not welcomed in the society. Now they are begging for your forgiveness.
Mega Man, okay? I don't see anything he's done.
So is it safe to say that the illusion has faded?
I think it has, yes. I was for him because, everything he said. He played right into my hands. He just told us everything we wanted to hear. That's what he did. I can't even stand to look at him because, he's just he's a con. He's a flat ass, nothing but a fucking con. They all the right side, they say, oh yeah, the Biden side was so bad. Well, what's so good about the right side? He brags about.
This one is saying, my MAGA dad is regretting why he voted for Trump, why he has been MAGA.
Doing something with our economy, but I haven't seen anything happen yet. That big, beautiful bill is going to add, they say $2.5 trillion. It's going to add about $4 trillion to the debt. The big, beautiful bill. Oh, what a joke. I remember what happened in the 80s with trickle-down economics. Yeah, the filthy rich got richer, and us guys that worked for a living paid more taxes. I'm disappointed, for sure. I'm real disappointed.
This flag used to hang there.
This was the flag Jennifer Piggott proudly hung outside her home during campaign 2024.
We had the flag. I had the shirt. I was a MAGA junkie.
A MAGA junkie who thought her government job would be safe with Donald Trump in office. She was wrong.
I cried. It's scary, it's a really scary thing. And I was embarrassed. He's a good boy.
Piggott was abruptly fired last month from the Treasury Department's Bureau of Fiscal Service, based here in Parkersburg, West Virginia. The reason given for the firings of 125 probationary employees at the Bureau? Poor performance.
I had my last review on the 31st of January, and I had the highest rating that you can get on a review, less than 21 days before I was terminated for my performance.
You voted for Donald Trump.
I did.
Do you regret that vote?
Yes, I do. To cut the knees out of the working class Americans just doesn't make sense to me. I expected more from President Donald Trump.
Since speaking out, Piggott says she's received death threats and her home has been egged.
When you were a part of the MAGA movement, how deep were you?
I was as deep as anyone could have been. I was an aspiring MAGA pundit. I had bylines in places like Fox and The Federalist. I spoke at Trump groups. I was a donor on the campaign. I was unapologetically a MAGA and Trump supporter. We used to say, we're not in the cult, the outside world is the cult, and we're not the crazies, the outside world are the crazies.
When I left MAGA, like I said, I kicked the door open and jumped through. I had a heart full of hate. I hated everything about Trump, everything about MAGA, everybody that was in MAGA. Just hate, because I was pissed that I fell for it.
That's very frustrating to actually hear that. And like I said, I don't do the politics and stuff, but to hear that come from another American that, is not getting $2 million put in their pocket.
$2 billion.
$2 billion, $2 million, $2 trillion. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, and that would help out a lot of people around here. A lot of homeless people. You could open shelters. You could really help somebody out with that.
Somebody's making money on the side. It's not me. That's all I got to say.
Is it frustrating?
It's frustrating that you see your president getting richer and richer and the middle class is getting poor. And that's about it.
life in America right now, the economy's tough. People are struggling, and hopefully it'll change.
He definitely made lots of promises, and he made them seem like they were going to come a lot quicker, faster than they actually were to ever come or ever will come. Like 90% of all the elections in the past, the candidates, they promised the moon and fall short at the end of the day. But I mean, I don't think it was the Donald Trump that we saw in 2016, and I don't think that he can make up for it in what's left of his current term.
Former MAGA supporter cut off by family after turning against Trump.
Who has been a lifelong Republican, and now you are saying you are not only anti-Donald Trump, but you will be voting Democrat in the upcoming midterms. Is that
Sounds
correct?
like a smart man.
Do I have that correct, Russ? I want to make sure I have that right. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Go ahead, Russ. Floor is yours.
Well, I was looking at some of the comments, and I didn't call in yesterday for sympathy or, empathy, anything like that. But some of the comments that were posted, saying that, and I don't know if I can say this, but telling me I was full of shit. And
yeah, watch the language. Don't swear. But yeah, we get the point. There's a lot of people out there that I don't agree with that, Russ. I think you're actually very genuine, and I don't agree with them. Here's what I would say, Russ. I've got some advice for you. Okay, you ready for this?
Yep.
I had a conversation this morning, and I can't say who it was with, but it was an extremely high-profile attorney. Someone that is practicing. I'm not talking about Michael Avenatti, okay? I'm talking about someone who is practicing law, who has a very high-profile case. Someone who has been on TV a lot lately. This person told me that they are getting a bunch of threats on them and their family, and they called me because they know I've received the same. And I gave this person the best advice I could because I've been through it lately, and I'm going to give you the same advice. If people aren't complaining about you and trying to silence you, if people are not insulting you, then you're doing something wrong. You're doing something right if you're affecting people so much that they get triggered so much online that they have to be a keyboard warrior and call you names. I get that every day. They help me with engagement. And you have to be true to yourself, Russ. And I think you are doing that. And as long as you're true, I know you are. And as long as you're true to yourself and who you are, and you can wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and say, hey, you know what? I'm telling the truth. Then you know what? That's what's the most important thing. What your friends and family think about you, not what some moron with 8 followers on social media says.
Ex-MAGA supporters say they were manipulated.
We used to say, we're not in the cult, the outside world is the cult, and we're not the crazies, the outside world are the crazies.
And they made me watch a documentary on January 6th, and I didn't even know what happened on January 6th prior to the PBS documentary. And I looked at him and I said, Scott, did that really happen? And he was like, where have you been?
It's so hard for people because I said it's not that you're dumb, you were fooled. That's incredibly hard to admit.
We are in the United States of algorithms right now, and MAGA media is very efficacious, it's very effective, and it's very disciplined.
I love our president.
Why do you love Donald Trump so much?
I love Donald Trump for closed borders, back to education, not indoctrination. And he's doing a great job. I'm very proud of him.
What's his greatest accomplishment thus far?
I'm really into the education.
Would you like to see the Bible taught in schools?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Taught in schools, yeah?
Yes, I love Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk actually got me back to church.
And are there books you'd want to see banned in schools?
Yes. And they say book banning, but it's not really book banning. Why are young children learning how to have sex in 5th grade?
Yeah, I read about a book that has 2 daughters getting their dad drunk and then having sex with them. Yes. Should that be banned in schools?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Books where there's like just wipeouts of all like whole groups of people. Get rid of that.
Just get rid of all of that. How about math and reading?
But those things are in the Bible. What I just said. Yeah. So you'd like to have the Bible banned in schools?
I don't want the Bible banned.
I would like to first apologize for my past MAGA activism. Had I met all of you when I was in MAGA, I would have deemed each and every one of you to be an existential threat. And for that, I'm sorry. You did not deserve to be dehumanized in that way.
Nothing makes me laugh more than seeing these MAGA supporters and people who voted for Donald Trump say, oh, I didn't know that Donald Trump was going to do this. I didn't know he was going to do that. I didn't know he was going to do this. America first. Bullshit. Because you know why? Thousands of people just like me try to warn y'all and tell y'all that this is exactly what he was going to do. But you didn't want to believe it. You didn't want to believe it. But now I'm glad you finally woke up and got a taste of reality. Welcome to the show.
The world is the cult, and we're not the crazies. The outside world are the crazies.
And they made me watch a documentary on January 6th, and I didn't even know what happened on January 6th prior to the PBS documentary. And I looked at him and I said, Scott, did that really happen? And he was like, where have you been?
It's so hard for people because I said it's not that you're dumb. You were fooled.
How about both? You were fooled and you're dumb as hell.
That's incredibly hard to admit.
We are in the United States of algorithms right now, and MAGA media is very efficacious, it's very effective, and it's very disciplined.
Let's face it, this isn't America first, which is exactly why I am not supporting him and not supporting this. He lied to us.
I've been a MAGA supporter from the very beginning. You know, I believed in him. I thought that he would end wars, like he said in his campaign. He said he wouldn't start wars. They'd bring peace to the Middle East. Now look at us. We're further from peace and closer to catastrophe than ever before. I feel so betrayed.
You don't care, bro! You have freaking duped us, and I'm waiting for you guys to freaking wake up to the fact that we have been sold a lie. Donald Trump does not care about deportation, staying out of wars. He don't care about our freaking economy. He don't care about you. He don't care about me.
As someone who voted for Trump, everybody always comments, you voted for this is your fault. It's like, no, like you guys said we were part of a cult. The people still rooting Trump on and cheering him on, yes, they are very much part of a cult.
As a matter of fact, it is your fault. You and all the other millions of people who voted for him. Not only did you guys vote for him once, you voted for him twice. And now all of a sudden, you don't want to be a part of the cult? You were a part of the cult when they stormed the Capitol. You were a part of the cult for all the other things, and now all of a sudden, it's not your fault. Newsflash, it's your fault. Just accept it.
Cut everybody's fucking mic since y'all want to act dumb. Y'all think that y'all are going to get a reward for realizing way too fucking late that y'all got us into some shit. We've been telling y'all the house was on fire. And 10 years later, y'all are now finally realizing that, damn, we fucked up. And what am I supposed to do with that fucking information? White women tears don't move me. Black people blood didn't move y'all. No, I'm not going for that shit. And I don't want to hear that we were in a cult. I don't want to hear that we were brainwashed. We were all fucking brainwashed, okay? Do y'all think that white people are the only one with disabilities? Do y'all think that white people are the only one raised in a conservative Christian household? I was taught to listen to a man. I was taught to obey a man. I was taught to submit to a man. I was taught that a man is supposed to provide for me and I'm supposed to do whatever the fuck a man tells me to do, be abused by a man and lie for the man. It's getting to the point where I kind of want to fight about it. I really do. I expect nothing from y'all except for to be stupid. I don't want to know what y'all heard when they said that he was a proven PDF and that he hangs out with PDFs. I was raised in a conservative Christian household. Everybody that was raised in a conservative Christian household was raised to protect PDFs. Yes, we were. We have the same fucking brain power. I was raised to be a fucking pick-me. I was raised to be homophobic, transphobic, all of that. We have the same fucking brains. Y'all don't get to get off scot-free with, I didn't know. You did know. You fucking knew. You chose. You made your fucking choice. I'm gonna get close so y'all can hear me. It's past political now. It's the fucking principle. We make up 13% of this country and still we do right over 90% of the time and still get punished for it. Y'all figure it out. Y'all have the numbers. Do right. I want to see you work. There is a woman, an American woman, stuck in Dubai right now. Do something about that with your fucking tears. That's what I want to hear you talk about. I want to see you do something. And all the other color people who keep betraying us and keep not voting for us because we're too put together, too fucking qualified is basically what the fuck y'all saying. This is the white man's burden now, okay? James Tallarico, y'all figure it out, okay? Don't ask us for shit. Do y'all want to see some fucking unity? Everybody who's a part of me, get in the fucking house and don't come back out until I fucking say so. Watch this. Y'all won't get no fucking work out of us. This is divided. They're about to conquer y'all. Divide and conquer. They've divided us. Because y'all drew the line in the motherfucking sand. And we won't be crossing it. Y'all need to figure this out. Y'all don't want our fucking help. Y'all don't want our fucking voices. Y'all just had another fucking chance to get a black woman who's been speaking up for y'all, but y'all don't want our voices. We're too loud, too reckless, too ghettos. That's all I got for you. I don't have nothing for y'all but a bunch of fuck yous and figure it outs. Get my girl home. Get her home and then maybe we could talk. You want the cookie, fucking earn it. How about that?
What do you all think about that move away from the right for some white women specifically?
I don't trust it. I know these women. These women are wildly indoctrinated into a culture where they think the world should be curated for them. It's not popular to like Trump right now, and so they're jumping off. Do I think these women are going to come out in droves and vote for progressive candidates or vote for Democrats? No. All we're seeing in the polling is they don't like Trump. I think the majority of these people, if for some reason there wasn't this constitutional amendment, if he ran again, I think they'd vote for him again.
You've said that seeing your old tweets full of hateful, bigoted remarks is a rather horrifying experience today. But many conservatives don't even think of those posts as hate-filled. They genuinely believe those are Christian or godly or morally correct takes. So as someone who's been on both sides of this divide, I have to ask, what was your wake-up call? What did you read? What did you see? Who did you talk to that made you think, you know what, I've gotten this all wrong for the last few years?
There were a lot of things. It happened slowly and then all at once. So there were moments that I would have friends who were trans that I was like, oh, wow, you know, these are not actually evil people who want to trans all the children. There were moments that I would read certain items, and I'm embarrassed to say, but I had never read a slave narrative until my mid-20s. And there's a reason that they want to keep people away from CRT, from certain language. The information sequestering that they do, you're not allowed to read the mainstream media. All of these things are labeled as propaganda. Don't trust your professors. In fact, you should report them to Charlie Kirk's professor watch list. And then there was a moment where I had to make a decision, which I was offered something rather substantial to not speak. And once you receive an offer like that, it really makes you stop and consider the gravity of your words, why your voice is worth so much money, and make a decision on your integrity and if you actually want to have any.
You turned down that offer?
I did.
Was it from Elon Musk?
I'm not at liberty to discuss, but I've turned down enough money that it is the GDP of a small nation.
Wow. Wonder how small a nation. Many who are skeptical of you attribute your shift to being burned by Elon Musk and MAGA. What do you say to your critics on the liberal left who believe your new views are just a convenient way to retaliate against your old friends?
Well, first of all, I'm not making any money from this. I'm back in school. I just finished out my semester with 22 credits, and I plan to go to law school. That's what I want to do. I want to start fighting and making amends within the system that I believe is perpetuating a lot of harm. And secondly, people are putting the chicken before the egg or the horse before the carriage, because when I came out publicly, I knew what the reaction of MAGA was going to be. I was within this cult for almost a decade. I knew exactly how they were going to respond to me. And I was ready to be ostracized. I was ready to be done with MAGA and that cult.
Can I ask you on camera how much you're being paid to be here?
I don't know. Where's my check?
Who do you suppose passes out the checks?
I don't know.
I wish I knew too. I would love to get paid to protest. What made you come out?
The fact that there's so much scandal and corruption and war going on in our country at this very moment in the 250-year anniversary that, frankly, as a former Trump voter back in 2016, looking at everything and watching all the news and reading all the facts, that enough should be enough. And anybody that's still stuck on that train, in particular, it's hard. It's really hard. I don't know. I don't have the words to honestly say, but like, there's a whole lot of people eating humble pie right now because they thought they were getting a new libertarian age type century under this guy back, and I was foolish enough to believe that type of idea back in 2016. But the people that went out in 2024 and bought into it this particular time around, I'm sorry.
Yeah. You know what? It's not foolish to have hope that somebody's going to do something greater, right? And I think that a lot of people had a lot of hope, and he's been nothing but a terrible disappointment and has surrounded himself with the worst humans in our entire nation.
Exactly.
And the first bombs we dropped on Iran killed a bunch of school kids.
Yes.
Yeah. We deserve better than that, and so does the world. So, $0 protester. Thanks, man.
You too.
I've been a loyal supporter of the president for almost 20 years. This goes back to when I was 21 years old and I was Miss California at the Miss USA pageant. And I've known him, I consider him a dear friend. And I will tell you right now, I do not recognize our president. I think that we are an occupied nation. I think that a foreign country has occupied our government. And we are seeing now that this president of the United States of America is being influenced by a foreign government. And MAGA, let me tell you right now, MAGA is dead. It is deader than dead, and Americans are furious. We do not recognize President Donald J. Trump anymore.
Nothing makes me laugh more than seeing these MAGA supporters and people who voted for Donald Trump say, oh, I didn't know that Donald Trump was going to do this. I didn't know he was going to do that. I didn't know he was going to do this. America first. Bullshit. Because you know why? Thousands of people just like me tried to warn y'all and tell y'all that this was exactly what he was going to do. But you didn't want to believe it. You didn't want to believe it. But now I'm glad you finally woke up and got a taste of reality. Welcome to the show.
The world is the cult, and we're not the crazies. The outside world are the crazies.
And they made me watch a documentary on January 6th, and I didn't even know what happened on January 6th prior to the PBS documentary. And I looked at him and I said, Scott, did that really happen? And he was like, where have you been?
It's so hard for people because I said it's not that you're dumb, you were fooled.
How about both? You were fooled and you're dumb as hell.
That's incredibly hard to admit.
We are in the United States of algorithms right now, and MAGA media is very efficacious, it's very effective, and it's very disciplined.
Let's face it, this isn't America first, which is exactly why I am not supporting him and not supporting this. He lied to us.
I've been a MAGA supporter from the very beginning. I believed in him. I thought that he would end wars, like he said in his campaign. He said he wouldn't start wars. They'd bring peace to the Middle East. Now look at us. We're further from peace and closer to catastrophe than ever before. I feel so betrayed.
You don't care, bro. You have freaking duped us, and I'm waiting for you guys to freaking wake up to the fact that we have been sold a lie. Donald Trump does not care about deportation, staying out of wars. He don't care about our freaking economy. He don't care about you. He don't care about me.
As someone who voted for Trump, everybody always comments, you voted for this is your fault. It's like, no, like you guys said we were part of a cult. The people still rooting Trump on and cheering him on, yes, they are very much part of a cult.
As a matter of fact, it is your fault. You and all the other millions of people who voted for him. Not only did you guys vote for him once, you voted for him twice. And now all of a sudden, you don't want to be a part of the cult? You were a part of the cult when they stormed the Capitol. You were a part of the cult for all the other things, and now all of a sudden, it's not your fault. Newsflash, it's your fault. Just accept it.
Can you first just talk me through what specifically made you sort of change your mind about the movement? What broke the bubble?
I would just like to say, Carl, that I would like to apologize for my past MAGA activism. When Ron DeSantis in the summer of 2021 platformed COVID anti-vaxxers, it shocked and confused me because he had been a proponent of the vaccine. I have never been an anti-vax person, but when he did that, it caused me to do something that sounds very simple, but was very profoundly life-altering and changing for me, which is I diversified my news and information sources. All I had consumed up to that point was MAGA-friendly media. So when that happened with DeSantis and I started to expand my information aperture a little bit, I started to slowly realize that so much of what it was that I had believed were falsehoods and were myths and mythologies and lies and conspiracy theories that didn't hold up upon closer scrutiny. And I went through this year of just myself and solitude with just my thoughts and I having to come to a personal reckoning that so much of what it was that I created a persona around turned out to be false. And for me, the final straw was May 24th, 2022, which was the day of the Uvalde, Texas school shooting. shooting. Even though Trump was not in office, I knew exactly how he and the Republican Party were going to respond to that massacre. I knew there would be no calls for additional sensible gun safety regulations. If you recall, Trump showed up to an NRA conference 3 days after Uvalde. What it drove home for me was one of my lines of demarcation and one of my red lines, which was that it had been my belief then, and I still believe to this day, that Trump and the GOP deemed acceptable avoidable deaths and suffering.
Guys, whenever someone says they're ex-MAGA, like they no longer support Trump, just tell them that they can't be ex-MAGA, because if they no longer support Trump, they never knew him in the first place. They never understood in the first place. You can't be ex-MAGA because you never actually knew him. So I think they'd understand that.
So I am on my way out of Taylor, Arizona. This is my last drive through this insane town. And I am done with the MAGA boyfriend. We've been separated for 3 weeks now. I have lots of dirt to tell you, but I can't tell you until I hit the New Mexico border, and I will explain that when I do that. You don't want to miss this. This is going to be good. And I'll explain everything when I can. But me and Rosie, we're on our new adventure. We're good. We're safe. And we'll get back to you soon.
My name's Justin Yu, and I left MAGA. When Donald Trump ran the first time, I liked the idea of having a president that was not a career politician. I dove headfirst into the Trump media bubble. Fox News and others had led me to believe that the Democrats were about to start doing Gestapo-style roundups. And then he got impeached for trying to extort political favors from Ukraine by withholding military aid. And then when he refused to concede his loss in 2020 and sent a violent mob to attack our Capitol on January 6th, that was the final straw for me. I widened my sources of information, and now I see him for what he is. Somebody who despises anybody who is an other, whether it's a different race, different religion, or a different political party. And so, I left MAGA for good.
Frightening for me, because I knew that leaving would mean that I was going to walk away from my second family. And as embarrassed as I am to admit this, my second family oftentimes took precedence over my own blood family. And I spent time and money that in hindsight should have gone to my family and into my business. MAGA for me was an obsession. And I knew that if I were going to leave, it not only was leaving behind a second family, but I would have to also acknowledge that so much of what it was that I believed turned out to be a lie, falsehood, or conspiracy theory. Mm-hmm. And I would like to think that, I mean, I'm not the brightest or the dimmest bulb. I'm a college educated person, and I had virtually no curiosity when I was in MAGA, which is saying something considering that I used to be a newspaper reporter. But thankfully, the flame of my curiosity had not fully extinguished itself. And it was what led me to start to ponder these questions of, you know, why do I believe this? And is this belief true? And is such and such belief accurate? And it was a lot of personal turmoil for me to go through a process which I had been MAGA for years, and I had been addicted to the rage and the fear of being in MAGA. And that's something that MAGA media reinforces and affirms, is that people don't tend to watch MAGA media to be informed. They're doing it because it feeds into the rage, the addiction to the rage and fear. You know, people don't watch Fox News to be informed. They're doing it because it's affirming for them the rage and fear. And I realized after leaving that when I was in MAGA, I was in these perpetual states of fear and rage and desperation and despair and panic and paranoia. And that's a really traumatic way to live. And this militant mindset of thinking that everybody who was not with me were my enemies was a really traumatic way of living. You know, it's why I lost contact with longtime friends of mine, because they had been blue Democratic voters. And I went back to them after I left MAGA and I said to them, I'm sorry that I spoke about you in these terms the way that I did. And
I did believe that the election was stolen. I believe that the riots were actually, those were patriots. Until I actually switched off Fox News and started getting my news from other places, my information, that's when it finally hit.
Diversifying their news turned out to be a common factor in leaving MAGA.
I met my now husband in 2021, and they made me watch a documentary on January 6th. And I didn't even know what happened on January 6th prior to the PBS documentary. And I looked at him and I said, Scott, did that really happen? And he was like, where have you been?
It's not easy to believe something firmly and then come to the conclusion that you've been wrong for many years. Was that hard for you?
Yes, yeah. That was something that I just couldn't square because I couldn't be wrong.
There are white people going viral right now for their regret over voting for Donald Trump. And I put that word into heavy quotation marks because I genuinely question if they even know what the word regret means. One woman in particular got on TikTok crying a whole theatrical production about how people are not greeting her with open arms, how they're being mean to her in her comment section. Lady, are you fucking for real? Somehow you are the victim, not the millions of people harmed by the very system that you voted to prop up not once, not twice, but 3 fucking times. Not the immigrants who lost their family members to deportation or concentration camps. Not the communities of color who have been terrorized by the very policies that you voted to enable. You're the victim because people were mean to you in your comment section. And this tells me everything I need to know about your regret. You're not sorry, you're uncomfortable, and you're confusing the two. You claim that you're doing the work, yet at the first sign that that work becomes difficult, you make videos crying to garner sympathy for yourself. So the emotional labor falls on everyone else again. And then to make it worse, there's a whole slew of people in her comment sections coddling her. Oh, you're such a good girl because you realize that you made a mistake by voting for him 3 times. It's so brave of you to speak up. Then, some of you have the fucking audacity to police how other people respond to this video. Specifically, the people that MAGA spent years targeting. People of color, the LGBTQ community, immigrants. You want them to welcome ex-MAGA with open arms. You want them to perform forgiveness for your comfort. The people that we should all have sympathy for are the ones who have been harmed, not the ones who do the harming and are now sad because everyone remembers. But here's the part that really gets me. Same crying video. She said she won't be voting in future elections. So instead of working to dismantle the oppressive system that you helped build, your solution is to throw your hands up and do nothing but cry online. That is not remorse. That is not doing the work. That's pandering for likes and comments to appease your praise kink. That's demanding forgiveness without actually earning it. Look, if people want to coddle ex-MAGA voters, that's your prerogative. Nobody can stop you for handing out participation trophies. But if you are an alleged regretful MAGA, do not expect anyone to forgive you. Do not expect a warm welcome. Do not expect marginalized communities to throw you a fucking parade. Do the fucking difficult work. Sit with your discomfort. Sit with the fact that people are rightfully angry at you. And sit with the fact that your regret doesn't undo any of the damage that you caused. The only way you will maybe, and that's a big if, be welcomed back into a society that is rightfully skeptical of you is if you spend the rest of your life proving that you are worth redemption. That means voting for progressive candidates who actually want to help people. That means showing up to protests. That means putting your fucking body on the line. That means doing the hard work, even when nobody is clapping for you. Otherwise, save your fucking tears and go cry about it in your journal.
Remember how Trump supporters creepily latched on to Sydney Sweeney and began calling her MAGA Barbie? When asked about being MAGA Barbie, she said that these people are actually using her as, quote, their own pawn. She said, quote, it's somebody else assigning that label to me and I can't control that. It seems like Sydney just rejected MAGA.
This is going to be one of those I lost my parents to MAGA videos. I had a whole plan for how I was going to do this, and now I'm just going to go off the cuff. So there was a violent ICE arrest made in my hometown, and I don't want to completely dox myself here, but it was it went viral, and it was heartbreaking. And the actual arrest happened on the road that I used to live on, about 10 minutes from my house on a country highway. And I sent this to my mom because my parents are triple Trumpers, and throughout this administration, I've tried to send things that are very unbiased, things that seem extremely black and white. So I sent this video to her and I said, "Hey, did you see that this happened?" And her response was, "Oh my gosh, that is horrific. We need to talk to immigration lawyers," named off a couple of people that we know. And in the text she said, "People need to be protesting all across this country. We need peaceful protests." I said, "Great, Mom. Actually, there's this huge protest that's happened multiple times. It's called No Kings." And she says, "Oh, well, I've heard about them, and it's full of BS." I said, "Oh, how so?" She said, "Well, Kamala Harris was not duly elected as the Democratic nominee last year. So, and Trump was duly elected. So, which smacks more of monarchy?" And my response was, "Oh, well, you're not part of the Democratic Party, so why do you care?" And she says, "Well, corruption in any form is just so dangerous." So, "Well, Mom, got some bad news for you about the Trump administration." And she just kind of brushes me off by saying that, well, politics in general, it's about the ideas. Politics is about the ideas. There's always going to be corruption in politics. And it just kind of stunned me because, I've sent her different things through the year, and nothing will shift her. Nothing will shift her from supporting the current administration. Nothing, really. Or she will come right up to the line of changing her position, voicing support for the woman who was violently arrested and held under false pretenses, but not to the point of decrying the administration. And the thing is, I have a very small social footprint, right? Like, my political activism at this point in my life is basically reposting things on my Instagram stories. I made a spreadsheet for myself tracking the Trump administration, and I think I have like 50 to 75 entries, and I haven't even updated it since the summer. Okay. There's so much more data that I could add to this. Under corruption, bribery, tearing down the entire east wing of the White House without involving Congress or the national park system, without any permissions. The fact that the Trump family has grown $3 billion in wealth since Trump took office. Like, there is so much data, and it does not matter. I could share this spreadsheet with my parents, and they would find a way to acknowledge the problem and somehow put the blame on the Democratic Party. Tonight, I posted something about Zohran Mamdani's win, and her response was, "He's a communist, he supports Hamas," and, this clip didn't say anything about supporting the Constitution. And I said, "Well, Mom, Trump doesn't support the Constitution either." And she got upset with me. I didn't say anything about Trump. And literally, as I make this TikTok, she's DMing me links from far-right rabbit hole news sources on Instagram. And it just breaks my heart because I was homeschooled. I was homeschooled to think critically by her, by my parents. I was put in rhetoric classes, logic classes. I did speech and debate for 2 years. I learned how to research and cite my sources. I learned how to evaluate sources for their biases. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It is so ironic that because I was homeschooled by my conservative parents, I have now pulled away from conservatism, and especially from MAGA territory. And I frankly don't know how to deal with this, because who does? Like, who does know how to deal with this? I think there's a very snarky, very smug part of myself that knows that in 5 to 10 years, when Trump is dead, we are all going to know far more than we've ever wanted to know about his corruption, his scandals, the things that were actually happening behind closed doors. We're going to learn about the puppets that are currently controlling him. And, you know, so many people on this platform have said, so many people on this platform have said that someday all of the people who are MAGA are going to disavow that they ever supported Trump. And that day is coming, right? That day is coming. But in this current moment, it feels so hard. Also because I realize that the folks who are still Trumpers, the folks who are still supporting MAGA, live in a completely separate world. Like, they live in a bubble that is just separate from the world that so many of us are living in. And that's really hard. That's a wedge that's like a, there's just a significant lack of connection. Anyways, I'm making this TikTok partly so that I do not send messages that I regret later to my mother on Instagram. If you know my mother in real life, please do not send this to her. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Flex.